Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, takes us to Paradise, California, that is. In fact, a town that is no stranger to adversity. You might remember these pictures. Epicenter of a devastating fire in 2018, the Camp Fire. That was the most deadly wildfire in California state history. David covered that fire. He recently went back for a story about a treasured companion stolen from that community. He saw how they mobilized together in a way that highlights the character of the people in that part of Northern California.
In the foothills north of Sacramento, California, people understand loss in a way many of us never will. They know about big losses because in 2018, a windswept wildfire leveled the landscape, killing 85 people. So here in particular, this little loss became a big deal.
So you got out, walked in, got what you needed, and then you come out, and the car's gone.
Right. I was sure that my truck's been stolen, and the immediate need is my cat's in there.
Yeah.
Susie Heffernan's cat, named Dundee, was the victim of a crime. A feral cat devoted only to her since she rescued it 6 years ago. But 3 weeks ago, her truck was stolen with Dundee inside after a visit to the vet.
It was just so quick, off they both went.
Took it and ran.
Yeah.
What happened next brought out the best of a community that was obliterated in and around a place called Paradise, California. Susie Heffernan was one of thousands who lost everything to that fire.
All the property and a little under 1,200 acres. You know,
Everything.
It's the history in the house and my grandmother's journals, and you know, you can't replace, and everybody has that.
So losing Dundee is not just a sad story about a stolen cat. It is a story of character in this community.
I received a message online that the cat might have been spotted in Chico at a homeless camp.
Pamela Beasley, who makes it her business to feed feral cats every day at her own expense, became a first responder.
And this was like 11, 12 midnight that night. So I went to the homeless camp. I walked through the camp, couldn't find them.
The message she received had come from Tara Ramelli.
My first intuition was if we could start getting on some very popular sites here in the community, that would be the best bet.
Chickies. So I was out on a hike, and so I answered my phone, and we immediately turned around because the thought was to go get Susie.
Jocelyn Dunning became a part of the team too, a team now known as Team Dundee.
We all had our own ideas about what we thought happened.
Carol Curtis, a photographer, picked up Susie, who was stranded in the parking lot.
Some of us believed perhaps somebody saw the cat, picked it up.
But in the process, everybody was out searching. Pam was going back with her connections that she made at the homeless camp. Jocelyn was helping Susie, you know, drive around because we were getting calls that possibly it was Dundee.
Then the next day, police found the truck 20 miles from where it was stolen. But Dundee was gone.
What was the loss of the cat like?
Horrible. His pills and his receipts were in front of him down on the floorboard. He needs those pills. He needs, you know, to be monitored.
I just wanted to make sure that we got these out.
Tara Ramelli posted a $500 reward, and more people responded.
One fellow put on Facebook that he would give $1,000 of his own money.
The momentum and even offers of money kept on. Pam kept searching those encampments.
Oh, it was scary. It was scary. But we're mountain people.
We're living around people that are very capable and very critical thinkers, and it's just so great to have the support like we do here.
And then, 4 days into their unrelenting search,
Phone rang.
Saturday night, stormy.
And the woman says, "I have your cat." And I was shocked because it wasn't, "I think I have your cat."
And we jump in the car, and there was a person there meeting us at a certain address.
It was him?
It was him. And he purred to me immediately.
Dundee the cat is home again with Susie. Team Dundee agreed that the extra money that came in should pay for food so Pam could feed more feral cats.
The drools.
And for this place that survived the deadliest wildfire in California's history, Team Dundee is not going away. Perhaps because it's always been there.
Team Dundee probably came about long before Dundee got lost. I mean, there's always going to be certain members of a community that have a purpose for whatever it might be.
That is because in this place, the lessons learned are extra special, but the odds of being found, or found alive, remain rooted in 2018. It's something I remember well as a reporter who covered that fire.
And I got to tell you, most of the town looks like it's been wiped out.
You see, friends, the takeaway is, it's not about the cat or the car. It is about a community of characters who are examples for all of us of what a community with character looks like.
1, 2, 3,
Some of the most powerful stories are about the extraordinary, of course, and some of the most extraordinary among us are, if we're being honest, not human, but dogs.
Yes.
Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, has a story about what it really means to be a good dog and a good neighbor.
Meet Gaia, a husky with a story to tell about how when one life ends, sometimes an even better one begins. In Dallas, Texas, Gaia's life was confined to that tiny backyard. That's because her loyal owner, Sandra, was hospitalized. The next-door neighbor, Lisa Canarak, noticed that the 9-year-old female looked lonely. So she offered to walk her.
I walked in, and then Gaia came up to me very slowly, and then I said, "Oh, hi," and then "What's your name?" So I had to look down at her tag and saw it was Gaia.
One walk turned into 3 weeks of walks.
I'm down here.
And then one question Lisa was not expecting from Sandra's dear friend, Gilda Levy.
2 weeks before Sandra died, she said, "I don't know if you've thought about this, but would you like to take her?"
And what did you say?
Sure, I would love to.
So when the time came, Lisa was summoned to Sandra's home right next door. The 80-year-old neighbor she barely knew was gone.
She had just died, so I just clipped her leash on, and then I said, "Okay, goodbye."
She walked Gaia from Sandra's home into hers. And from that moment on, Gaia's life changed.
Good girl. Good girl.
Lisa wanted to get Gaia out more. And she noticed on walks around the neighborhood that Gaia was so calm around children. So she and Gaia enrolled in and passed a pet therapy program.
I can tell when I put on her vest, she's ready to go.
Their first assignment was Children's Medical Center Dallas. Here was an elderly dog who rarely ever left Sandra's home, now finding a home with Lisa and in the hearts of these young children.
Dogs are like the best thing that ever happened to me, like in this hospital.
You're missing some more, Gaia.
Oh, wait, there's more. Lisa thought the piercing blue-eyed beauty would be just right for another kind of therapy. Hospice. It just so happened that when Gaia's owner died, Lisa was finishing her training to be an end-of-life doula.
You're pretty good to have around.
Today, she and Gaia minister to the terminally ill.
You are precious.
Good morning.
Wow, what a beautiful dog.
Aw, thank you.
Hi.
Are you doing all this for Gaia or for you?
Oh, that is a good question. I think that that's a good question. Let me think about that. I think I'm doing this for both of us. I think it benefits both of us. She gets to go out and see people, and I get to see the response that she gets when she's out. There's just nothing better than that. Gaia's life changed when she became part of our family.
Gaia has brought this writer out of her shell. So much so that Canarak wrote about their life together in an essay for the Washington Post.
My life is different too. Meeting dozens of people during our visits has brought out the extrovert tendencies I lost during the pandemic. Before I knock on each patient's door, I breathe in, then greet families with confidence, knowing the reaction my sidekick will receive.
Readers loved it.
Crying happy tears. Thank you for sharing this story. Love that there are still good people out there in this world.
As we pass through the halls of the Children's Hospital, I think of Sandra and hope she's smiling, knowing how much joy Gaia brings to everyone she meets. I'm trying not to cry.
Why?
I don't know, it's just knowing the effect she has on people. It makes me happy, it makes me sad because I wish I had known Sandra better. But I think this is the way that I'm helping to keep her memory alive.
As Mr. Rogers used to say, look for the helpers. Well, Mr. Rogers, here are two of them. This is the first time that Yvonne White is going to see the home where her brother was treated like family.
Hi! How are you?
By a woman who rescued him.
Put it in perspective. You saved his life. You saved another human being's life.
During the blizzard of December 2022 in Buffalo, New York, Shakira Autry took action when a lot of other people would have been a lot less willing.
What you did was just beautiful. Just beautiful.
I just did.
Yeah, but you know, he made him comfortable.
Yes.
He felt the love.
He was at my door banging. When I woke up, I heard, help, help.
It was Christmas Eve a year ago. Shakira looked out her window and saw that man struggling in the snow.
He keeps screaming, help. I don't know what to do. I feel so terrible.
It was 4 degrees outside.
He can't even walk. Like the wind is so bad.
The wind was gusting 53 miles per hour. He had no gloves on, looked lost, and in pain. Shakira and her boyfriend, Trent Alls Jr., took him in. 65-year-old Joey White has the mental capacity of a 10-year-old child, according to his sister. He lived in this group home at the time. It's just a few blocks away from Shakira's home. That morning, Joey left home, headed for a movie theater where he had worked as a custodian for more than 40 years. It's unclear how long he had lingered in the cold.
He was so frozen. His clothing was completely froze.
What were his fingers like?
They were it was balled up with the bag in his hand. I told him, I walked him through, I said, I have to cut the bag because the bag was froze. He had ice, literally ice balls around his hand.
After bandaging his severely frostbitten hands, Shakira called 911 again and again, but the weather conditions made it impossible for first responders to reach them.
I was waiting for the National Guards, and I still was waiting for 911, paramedics, fire. I was waiting for anybody, and nobody ever came.
As the hours passed, the snow just kept piling up. So Joey spent Christmas with Shakira, Trent, and their kids. She did his laundry, fed him, even played movies for him.
We got to get some help.
All the while, his hands were literally changing color, and the pain was becoming unbearable.
I was thinking, if there's going to take them this long to come and get him, and he's alive, how long is it going to take him to come and get a dead body if he was to pass? I couldn't wrap my head around, I just couldn't do it. This young man's fingers is going to fall off.
On Christmas night, she turned to social media, panicking.
I had to use these to cut the ring off of his finger. I'm not no surgeon. I'm right here, Joe.
About 36 hours after their ordeal began,
I thank these men for helping Kiri.
2 Good Samaritans answered her plea.
Yeah, we all love you. We right here with you. You hear me? Because what you tell me, I'm your friend, right? We're friends, right? We're friends forever.
And drove them to the hospital.
When I got in the truck, he told me he was scared, and I said, I'm scared too. I'm scared too, Joey. And I said, you know, we got help. We're going to go. The doctors are going to take care of you. And then when he told me he loved me, I knew he really felt safe. This man could have died, 64 years old, could have died outside. I wasn't letting that happen on my watch, and he wasn't going to die in front of my kids.
What do you think the takeaway is?
I feel that especially nowadays, the way our country is, everything is just, you know, the weather is terrible, this is terrible. And then to see the compassion and the love with 2 strangers is just amazing. So you tell me where the connection is. It's here. It's not here.
Bingo.
It's here.
We got him to the emergency room.
In the spirit of that first Christmas, more than 2,000 years ago, Shakira Autry made room in her home and in her heart for that stranger in need.
I'm right here.
When you think back on it all, what makes you emotional?
I knew he needed help. And I just kept thinking about, what if it was my family member? Christmas wasn't even about gifts, about my kids. It wasn't. It was literally him. Christmas was him. He was a very good Christmas gift. And now, for the rest of my life, I will remember him.
What would you say to people watching this who will encounter something down the road?
People should be kind, be loving.
Well, we'll take a lesson from you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that lady. So here is the update a year later. Joey White lost almost all of his fingers. There's really only a half a thumb left. Shakira says he's lost all of his independence because he doesn't have prosthetics yet. But the state assures us that Joey is going to get prosthetics this year. Now, as for Shakira, she visits him regularly. I mean, all the time. He called her recently and said, Shakira, I want some Chinese food. And so she brought it to him. She says Joey calls her all the time. They have a bond that is truly special. As for her, New York's governor honored her for her heroic actions. Her family was surprised with a trip to Disney. The NFL gave them tickets to the Super Bowl. And most recently, she bought a home. There was a lot of money donated to Shakira and her partner, Trent, after what they did for Joey White.
Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, has brought us an amazing update. A few months ago, he introduced us to an architect in New Orleans and a group of Tulane University students who found a way to make these life-changing wheelchairs for kids who really need them. And the wheelchairs were free. Well, since David first shared their story, viewers like you jumped in to help. But first, here's a reminder of how we got here.
This is a story about a small chair, but it's got a big impact. The kind of chair that gives mobility to children with disabilities. Meet Jackson. He's a 4-year-old boy from Covington, Louisiana. He has dystonia. It's a condition that affects his muscles. And he has a developmental delay. He doesn't walk or speak.
When they offered you this wheelchair, was he mobile at all at that time?
Elizabeth and Brian Fabregas are Jackson's parents. They say after 8 months in that chair, Jackson has been able to sit up on his own. And now he's moving around independently.
So it gave him a more ground level view.
Yep, that's what made me happy, because it's like he's included with everything.
The parents say that the toy-like chair has been wonderful because it created a playful experience with Jackson's older brother, Brody, and has been the bridge from not walking to now using a walker.
Okay, so give us the report card. How would you grade it?
It's an A+. It's helped his development.
Now, meet the man at the front of this creation, Noam Platt. He's an architect in New Orleans who heads up an organization called Make Good. They focus on assistive technology, the kinds of devices people can't find in the commercial workplace or can't afford.
Pull this out.
Platt came across the design for the chair on an Israeli website that lists open source information for developers like him.
We can go beyond what's commercially available. We can really create almost anything.
But what he's created has turned out to be way more than Noam Platt ever imagined when I first met him in New Orleans.
I didn't quite expect the magnitude of outpouring after the story.
And that's where viewers like you come in. Since our story aired, more than $40,000 in donations rolled in. And of course, Platt knew immediately what he wanted to roll out, because he had also heard from nearly 60 families who saw Jackson's joy in our report and wanted to see it on their kids' faces. Plus, something even more priceless happened. Volunteers who saw the story said they wanted to help build these life-changing chairs. So Platt put some to work. And with his team at Tulane University, they've built all these chairs, about 25, in just the last 5 months. Look at little Ellie's elation.
You took some of them.
The smile on Theo's face.
You can do it! Come on!
And just imagine what little McKenna might be thinking.
Each of those chairs, they cost $200 to make. We're actually working on bringing that price down to about $50.
And by this point in the update, you can't be surprised that Platt didn't stop there. When an injury prevented Seth from playing guitar with his dad, Platt pulled a few strings and created this custom guitar pick. And this innovation put the drums within reach for Cole, who has cerebral palsy and really wanted to play like his favorite band, the Foo Fighters.
The work we're doing is not only extremely important, it's very inspiring to people. And it shows them that they actually have the power to change their environments, to provide more independence for themselves, and to really affect change in their communities for relatively modest amount of work.
We salute you, Noam Platt, and the students, and we thank viewers like you. Listen, it wasn't big chunks of money. We're talking about donations that were $5, $10, $15. So many people got involved. And Noam sent me this stat. He said David Makegood is able to produce adaptive technology at an average 1/7 of what it would cost to make it on the commercial market.
Now to a story from our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud. David visited Jeffrey Olson, who is known in Vista, California as the Toy Man. For more than 3 decades, Olson has donated toys, food, and clothes to those who need them most. David Begnaud, good morning. Good to see you. I am ready. Take it away.
All right, my dude, good to see you too. Listen, y'all know I love finding the heroes in everyday people, and Jeffrey Olson is one of them. He is a humble man who has been through a lot in his own life, and that is what has driven him to help others in need.
It's what the kids sent to me.
Those pictures that Jeffrey Olson cherishes are of children he hardly knew and may never see again.
This is Matthew Garcia.
Matthew was a child Jeffrey met in a hospital.
He had that worst case of muscular dystrophy, so I got him. He was wishing for a Tickle Me Elmo.
The toy for Matthew and those he gave to many, many, many others has earned Jeffrey a very special name.
Vista's Toy Man has done it again.
They know me by my nickname, the Toy Man.
And what do people know you for?
For my 36 years of humanitarian work and serving 59,960 people. And then...
Not that you've counted.
I do that every year.
For 36 years, what he has done in San Diego County, California, has earned him celebrity status.
Toy Bounty is for needy kids. Boy, the newspapers love you around here.
His bounty has been built with his own money.
Show me this toy shed, Jeffrey.
And stockpiled safely away, ready and available for those in need.
What you got?
Yeah, all these boxes.
Organizations that help people rely on Jeffrey to help them.
Had some slippers and then sweaters.
Do you know how much money you've spent on giving all this away to people?
I never counted how much, but many thousands of dollars.
Tell me, where have you made all this money from that you used to give away?
I invested my money into the stock market.
Jeffrey Olson was by profession a salesman in the suit department at the local JCPenney. His passion for giving might be genetic, he thinks.
My grandma, when it was the Great Depression, she used to feed hundreds of people when they were kicked out of the apartments. And then my father, he helped out a lot of people too.
His father was a decorated Korean War veteran, honored again just this month, a man who lost his leg in the Korean War, and someone Jeffrey cared for until he died.
So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fine.
Now he cares for his 92-year-old mom, Olga.
It's really remarkable, Jeffrey. You've never had kids of your own, right?
No.
Never been married?
No.
You're so dedicated to other people.
There was something that happened to Jeffrey at a very young age that may have made him one of those other people who have needed his love and support.
Jeffrey, I know when you were a child, you were diagnosed with what doctors thought was epilepsy, right?
Yeah.
But turns out you didn't have epilepsy, right? So they gave you the wrong medicine.
Yeah. And then they were telling me that I was mentally retarded.
Did the medication that you were given incorrectly cause a developmental delay?
Yeah, somewhat.
In some way? Yeah.
A local newspaper investigated.
It appears the doctors were wrong. Recent brain imaging tests include...
And in 1998 reported what happened to Jeffrey may have happened to other children at a military hospital, and they too have to live with impairments.
But you've used that to your advantage in a way, right?
Yeah, that's also what makes me want to help the people.
I agree.
Because of having to go through that in life.
Can I tell you something? It doesn't take a big brain to help people. It takes a big heart.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one.
Yeah.
His big heart at 60 years old isn't slowing down because, as he tells it, he's got a very good reason to keep going.
When I do this work, I think I have the spirits of those kids with me.
Do you?
When I go, because I have this feeling, you know, like it's pushed me to want to do it.
I get that. That makes sense. Their spirit becomes something inside of you that's the fuel.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I can tell, has brightened the lives of at least 59,960 people so far.
Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, found a story about someone whose last name is Story. And this one all starts with an internet post, two strangers, and a commitment that reminds us there are more good people in the world than not. Here's David.
When you see Lynn's story, what you don't see is her Texas-sized heart. This 64-year-old Fort Worth retiree had a lot of free time on her hands until she met April Goodwin.
I had no transportation, and I didn't know what to do.
She found help on the community app Nextdoor after revealing to strangers that she had been diagnosed with uterine cancer.
Someone spoke up and said, I'll take you to your appointments, and I kind of ignored it because it's a stranger. What do you do? So she messaged me again and said, I'll take you. I mean it. I'm honest. I'm sincere.
Morning. Hi. You look so pretty.
Over the last year, Lynn has driven April to more than 25 radiation appointments, 6 chemotherapy treatments, and countless doctor's visits. Rain or shine, Lynn is always on time.
One time, her car broke down, and she goes and flags down somebody in the middle of traffic to get me to my chemo.
That's Lynn. Well, months after meeting April, Lynn again was on the Nextdoor app when she noticed a post from Kevin Horrigan, who is legally blind.
Lynn's like a little angel. She really is. Because I can't drive.
So I thought, well, I can drive there and take him to work and then go home.
See you tomorrow.
Hard times drove Kevin out of retirement.
Bye.
Now Lynn lessens his burdens.
Lynn drives me to work, or she picks me up from work. It helps tremendously.
5 days a week at 5 in the morning, there's Lynn.
Hi, Kevin. It's me. How was your night? I just started thinking of myself this way recently as a bad weather friend. You know, fair weather friends are only there when everything's good for you. But a bad weather friend is there to help you in times of need. Okay.
They were strangers a year ago, and now friends. Lynn loves people.
How are you?
Yeah, pretty good this morning.
Good. Aren't you handsome?
Thank you.
She talks to everybody.
Your hair is so cute.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody. Oh, I like your umbrella too. The best way for me to feel good is to help other people feel good.
Yes.
Just to make it easier for them.
Yes, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the joy, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the joy.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing that led to what has been the kindness that you've done? What does this go back to?
I don't know. It's just always been important to me to be nice to people and to not hurt people's feelings.
I didn't want to hurt her feelings by asking about a 45-year-old mistake she made that showed up in a recent background check.
You were arrested.
I was.
When you were in your 20s.
I was.
For shoplifting.
I was.
What did you learn from that?
I learned to stop it, to be better. I went into therapy and kind of got a feel for why I felt the need for the high for shoplifting. And that helped. And then many years later, I was finally diagnosed as bipolar, and that helped because I got on medication to make me even instead of the highs and the lows. And so that's made a big difference. I'm just really happy.
I remember you saying to me, the shoplifting may have been formative in shaping the woman that I was then going to grow up to be.
Yes, I was ashamed of having behaved in such a manner that I needed to be arrested. And my mother was so kind to me, and she bailed me out of jail, and she got me a lawyer and made it very clear that that was the only time this was going to happen. And so I determined to be better.
Being honest about a mistake you made 45 years ago makes you so relatable to so many of us. Because everybody makes mistakes.
Of course.
But not everybody goes out of their way to be as helpful as you.
I wish they would. Everything would be so much better.
Well, it's hard to do better than this. Lynn was 31 years old when she donated her healthy bone marrow to a critically ill patient she didn't even know. So it's no surprise when she recently was asked to foster a disabled three-legged dog named Sully. She said, "Sign me up."
You like head rubs, don't you?
What a story.
She's my guardian angel because I didn't have any family to help me fight, but I had a new family to help me fight. Thank you for allowing me to get treatment for my cancer so I could be here today.
You know, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Got a little chilly.
It did get a little chilly.
I feel that I'm more humble now having known them and being able to help them.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. But I get blushy and kind of embarrassed to talk about it and antsy.
Do you think it's that it just softens your heart?
And it just feels like, how could I not do it? So I don't, in a way, I don't expect or understand the praise that I may get for it because it just seems so natural to do it.
And seems so right.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for showing us what we all know is right, but what we aren't always willing to do.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Love that, Lynn. One question you may have is, does Lynn get paid for doing this? She insisted she did not want money, but April and Kevin insisted they'd have to at least take their money so she could pay for her gas.
This morning, we're very excited to debut a new segment. We're calling it Dear David. Weeks ago, we told you that our lead national correspondent, guess what? His name is David. David Begnaud was on the hunt for those feel-good stories. You know, the ones that tug at your heartstrings about regular people doing extraordinary things. They're everywhere. So we asked you to send in some stories from your communities and beyond. And guess what? You guys responded. Tons of you have reached out. And today, David is here to share one of his favorites. We always like it when you come to the studio. It's like what we all say, if David Begnaud's doing it, we know it's going to be good.
All right, well, here we go. We love finding the heroes
Yes.
in everyday people. That's what
Yep.
these segments are going to be all about. And so this one started with a viewer who wrote to me and said, David, I just watched the video. I am in tears, and you've got to see it. So I was like, all right, click.
Okay, TikTok, I need your help. I'm hoping that this person is on.
Courtney Crawford is a Starbucks barista in Little Rock, Arkansas. She says she was working an early morning shift last month when a customer came in who appeared to be struggling. It was a rough morning. So Courtney did her best to put a smile on the customer's face.
Then, about 10 minutes later,
She came in and she gave my manager a note and asked her to hand it to me. And so I was like, okay. It says, I travel a lot for work. That usually means late nights and very early mornings. You were the first face I saw this morning and you really brightened my day. I'm sure you are exhausted because life, right? That's all of us. But you deserve to know you made a difference in someone's day today just by being kind.
the customer signed the note, sincerely, the groggy woman at 5 a.m. And she left Courtney $200. But what she didn't know was how Courtney was going to use that. You see, this weekend will be Courtney's first Mother's Day without her mom, Tammy Lee, who died last June after battling cancer. And this is where the story really got me. Watch.
I decided that I was going to buy the urn that I have been looking at and bring my mom home for Mother's Day, and I had no idea how I was going to afford it. But the $200 you put in that note today allows me to spend Mother's Day with my mom, and I appreciate you so much for that.
Told you.
Oh, wow.
So here's the deal. We found Courtney. She told me she works 3 jobs to make ends meet, didn't have the cash to buy the urn, which was around $200, the same amount that generous person gifted her. Here's what Courtney thinks about that stranger.
If she ever has a day where she thinks she doesn't matter or she thinks that she doesn't have an impact on the world, I would love to be the reminder that says, yes, you do. And you will never stop having an impact on the world, because I will be able to look at my mantle every day and smile because my mom's looking at me.
And I know that you would love to see this person again. So should they watch this, what do you want to say to them about wanting to see them again, and why?
If you're in Little Rock, if you can make it back to Little Rock, if you are somewhere in the world and you want to be acknowledged and be found, I want to find you. I want to be able to hug you. I want to be able to show you that your small moment of kindness created a ripple effect of beauty. And I need to thank you personally for that.
And so here's how you can help. If you know the person who gave Courtney that gift, or if it's you, email me, deardavid@cbsnews.com. Hit me up on social media. Courtney would love to reunite with you.
I'm happy to share with you that starting in August this year, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine will be tuition-free.
That's what you call having a good day. A big deal for hundreds of medical students right here in the Bronx, New York. Tuition alone at Albert Einstein College is more than $59,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Now a massive donation from a longtime professor will cover that cost. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, has more on yesterday's announcement. David, it's good to see you. We haven't seen you in the studio in a long time, but what a great story.
So good to be with y'all. I feel like I was one of them yesterday. I was as excited as they were, right? Just hearing this news. Good morning to all of you. The gift is going to transform the lives of these students and will allow these future doctors to begin their careers without medical school debt. The donation totals $1 billion and is the largest donation ever to a medical school in the country. Here's how the gift will work. Beginning in August of this year, all current and future students will receive free tuition. Current fourth-year students will be reimbursed for their spring semester. If you're wondering what this means for students, here's Trevor Baker talking about what went through his mind when he heard about the gift.
For a minute, I was just staring blankly, like I was processing. But then I started to think about what it could mean for my family and taking care of my mom throughout medical school and being able to take care of her after I graduate financially.
What a blessing. Now, the donor behind this gift is 93-year-old Ruth Gottesman. She's also the one who made the announcement to the students in that video. She is currently chair of the college's Board of Trustees, and she was a former professor at the school. Gottesman joined the college in 1968 as part of its Children's Evaluation and Rehabilitation Center, where she developed screening and treatment techniques for children with learning disabilities. The donation is made in the name of her late husband, David. He was a notable businessman who was an early investor in Berkshire Hathaway
and actually the protege of Warren Buffett. And guys, he said to her in his will, with this money, do what you think is right. And that's what she did.
That's what she did. And what a difference she's made.
Bradley Arrowwood was sentenced to life in prison without parole for a murder he committed in the 90s. In 2018, he was released by a California parole board that recognized the rehabilitative work he did in prison. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, checked in on Arrowwood and found out that he is prospering while proving to the public and himself that he is worthy of a second chance.
There we go. You're going to be a soccer player.
Since we first reported the story of Bradley Arrowwood, the ex-con who walked out of prison 5 years ago with $800 in his pocket.
You ready? Where's my buddy?
The dog training business he started is prospering.
We'll put dogs in that area.
And last year, he purchased a home, a 2-acre property north of Los Angeles, perfectly suited for the service dogs that he trains and boards.
This is kind of the best part of the job. Even though we have to train these dogs got to have fun.
I got the unusual opportunity to know him 2 years ago when I hired him to train my dog, and he quickly told me about his past.
Visit. And I was honest with you. And I said, had I known the facts before you came here, I wouldn't have had you here.
He wouldn't have called.
By his own admission, he was a hardcore Los Angeles biker, a bagman for drug money who killed a man he claimed had had an affair with his wife.
You lured him to a house, you beat him, you duct taped him, and he suffocated because of that.
That and a broken nose, yes.
Arrowwood was sentenced in 1995 to life in prison with no possibility of parole under tough-on-crime laws that were championed by many people, including California's former governor, Jerry Brown.
I had a death sentence, basically, death by incarceration.
And what has changed?
What really hit home was 7 years into my sentence, finding out I had a daughter that was placed in the foster care system. She was told that I don't love her, don't want her, and hurt people for a living.
The prison offered classes and counseling, and he signed up for all of it.
Jerry Brown.
Then, in 2010, Jerry Brown was elected California's governor again, a generation after he left office the first time. And he had a change of heart about life sentences.
When you were governor the second time, it wasn't just sort of your morality and your conscience that led you to think we need to give people a second chance. You also have the federal courts telling you your prisons are overpopulated and you've got to reduce that.
Yes, that was a big nudge. Without the federal court, it would have been very hard to do as much as we did.
The governor, retired now on his Northern California ranch, told us about how he used his power to commute the sentences of nearly 300 inmates between 2017 and 2018, inmates including Arrowwood.
In commuting your sentence, Brown didn't free you. Brown just said,
No.
I will give you the opportunity
to prove yourself to my board.
Arrowwood earned a bachelor's degree and 2 associate degrees while in prison. He became a model prisoner and was chosen by a prison captain to lead a team of inmates who trained difficult dogs that would have otherwise likely been euthanized. His prison record impressed the parole board. He was released after serving more than 25 years.
When I say the name Jerry Brown,
it's a miracle.
Ever met him?
No, I haven't.
Want to?
I would love to.
At our invitation, he traveled with us to see him.
Good to meet you, Woody. Come on by.
I had a million things written in my mind, but I don't even know how to say how much thanks and gratefulness for you taking a chance.
And that takes us to today.
And this is Ronnie. He's our kennel assistant and trainer apprentice.
But Ronnie, who asked us not to use his last name, is much more than that. He's a former prisoner who served 20 years for killing a man when he was 17. Now 51, a father and a free man, he's using his second chance to learn from men like Arrowwood.
I just think coming from a place of hopelessness that we all experience that, and to overcome that, to have all that feeling for many years and to realize, hey man, this is not the life I want to live.
Working alongside him is Lorenzo Flores, also a fellow lifer who spent time in prison with Arrowwood.
That's it.
Now he is Arrowwood's #2 service dog trainer.
I think everybody should look back and see what is it that they can improve on themselves, because
That's what I do every day. I want to improve myself as I go.
We're giving back. We're helping dogs. Dogs changed each one of us in some way of bringing back out humanity. It teaches us to care for something other than ourselves.
In addition, Woody, as he's known, is starting a program where he is training service dogs that will be given for free to people who can't afford service dogs but need them. Also, he's starting a program where he's volunteering with the California Department of Rehabilitation. In fact, we were there when an adult woman with autism came by and for 5 hours stayed with them. And under their supervision, she helped to walk the animals, play with the animals, sit with the animals. And it was incredible to watch these men who had gone to prison and thought they would spend the rest of their life there come out and give a second chance and start giving a second chance to people with disabilities like this woman. It was somewhat humbling to watch that.
From the moment Chris and James Armstrong married, they created an unusual blended family. That's because Chris brought with her ex-husband, Brandon. They were high school sweethearts who married at 21.
What do you remember about the wedding?
I still remember being at the church and them opening the doors and walking down with my dad and seeing Brandon, at the end of the aisle, and just knowing that I wanted to spend my life with him and that I loved him.
2 years after they got married, Brandon was T-boned by a moving truck, leaving him with a traumatic brain injury.
He was in a coma, and we didn't know when or if he would wake up and what would happen.
Although he did wake up, he was unable to take care of himself.
He was in something called post-traumatic amnesia at that time, and so his memory, which really he's never really fully gotten out of, but his memory was like 10 seconds long. This was really when it became clear that I went from being a wife to a caregiver. My friends even came to me after I'd been doing this for several months, and they said, "We love you so much and we support you, but you can't keep doing this. You're drowning. We see you drowning."
So after 5 years of caring for Brandon and longing to have children and wanting to again be in love with someone who could be in love with her, Chris decided to divorce Brandon.
Whenever I thought about moving forward with a divorce, the thing that terrified me the most would be that I wouldn't be able to care for Brandon. Stand up. There we go.
So she asked a judge to make her Brandon's legal guardian.
And I told her, nothing's going to change. I'm going to continue to take care of Brandon forever. And each year now, I have to renew guardianship papers, and they usually ask for a picture. And now I get to send the picture of Brandon with our whole family, and I've gotten to write the judge and tell her, I don't know if you remember me, but I've stood true to what I said, and Brandon's an integral part of our family.
By creating this family with James Armstrong, she found love for herself and for Brandon.
It's a sad story, but there's a lot of beauty in it too. Yeah.
Well, you want to know what moved me the most when I heard the story?
What's that?
The thought of you loving her enough to help care for Brandon.
Yeah.
That's what made me weep.
It's not just loving her, it's loving Brandon too, He needs us.
Yeah.
He needs people that love him.
That love looks like feeding him, maintaining his hygiene, taking him to therapy appointments, and giving him the willpower and a little extra willpower to keep living.
I think in the physicality of him helping with Brandon, that's one piece. I mean, the fact that we change Brandon together, I can do it by myself, but it's very, very hard. James helps me. Like that is such a gift of love.
You ready? You can sit down, I got you.
James cares for Brandon in the same fatherly way he watches he and Chris's children, 4-year-old Meadow and 6-year-old Juniper. They snuggle up to the now 38-year-old man they call Uncle Brandon.
Hey!
What's up, dude?
Hi, sweetheart.
How are you, huh?
Brandon lives in a nursing home, but every few days, they bring him home. On the day we spent with them, Juniper nearly jumped in Brandon's wheelchair after school.
It's ticklish.
It made me feel good to be able to make him smile by playing his favorite artist.
You want to play some Bob Marley?
Bob Marley.
Yeah, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
He was unusually engaged on the day we spent with them.
Yeah.
Today, I feel like especially, you're like super tuned in, which is cool, because it's like it comes and goes, you know? Some days we can really connect and some days we can't.
The good days and the not so good ones are chronicled on Chris's TikTok account. There, she has found some of the grief support she's always been looking for.
Where did we both work in college? We worked at Casa Ole.
Brandon's long-term memory is one thing the accident didn't take away from him entirely. She is the one person he recognizes, always.
You remember the song that we danced to at our wedding? They read you Cinderella. Yeah. He is a very part of who I am because I carry his heart in my heart and I always will. And so the decisions that I've made to have him in our life, be a part of our family, is because I can't not. You know, when somebody is so tied to you, you can't untie that. I love you.
Before we left them, Chris told us something James said which shocked us. Something so unlikely, so improbable, but so beautiful.
He said if some miracle, treatment happens for people with a brain injury and Brandon can be healed, he said, I want you to be with him. You were with him first. And I think that it's, I don't think that's going to happen, but just the fact that, I don't know, you're just a very special person. You really are.
I don't think I am, but I just
you
I do what I think is right.
Yeah.
You know? I do what my heart tells me to do.
And then James said this.
I also told her if anything happens to her where she passes away, I will fight for guardianship of him.
Yeah.
You will have another advocate.
He will have
my goodness,
another
David.
advocate. Isn't that something?
Time now for a story about how one act of kindness connected two strangers. Cindy Tutko was her name. She was at the Atlanta airport earlier this year, just trying to get to her gate, when a man noticed that she was limping. So what did he do? He didn't ignore it. He offered to help her out. Even she was very surprised by what came next. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, traveled to the man's hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, to highlight the importance of taking care of others, even those you do not know.
Jamie Tutko is about to meet the man who went out of his way to help Jamie's mom.
What's going on, man?
How you doing,
It's
sir?
great to see you.
pleasure
Great
to
to see
meet
you,
you.
man. It's awesome to meet you.
How's your mama?
She's good. She's good.
She is Cindy Tutko. About a month ago, Cindy was flying through the Atlanta airport heading home to Florida. She had just left Baton Rouge, Louisiana, after visiting Jamie and his family. She arrived to Terminal C at the world's busiest airport in Atlanta and needed to get to Terminal F for her next flight. But the trains were down. So with a torn ACL and a knee in need of replacement, she started walking.
She had actually fallen that day, and she put herself into tears with how much pain her knee was in. So when I was taking her to the airport, I could tell she was hurting.
I had a big heavy satchel that I was carrying, and that's what was weighing me down. And it was full and heavy, very heavy.
Michael, who happens to be from Lafayette, Louisiana, spotted Cindy limping along.
Initially, Cindy said when you offered to help her, it was almost a little too forward, she was like, oh, no, I'm good.
Miss Cindy's she's like my mom. She's a striking woman. She captures the room. But she's a strong woman.
Well, Louisiana, but it's that culture that you talk about. We want to help. For some people, it's a little much, but that's just who we are.
And that is exactly why Michael wasn't taking no for an answer.
I grabbed her black statue and I put it on. I didn't ask her. Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
At first I thought, what if this guy steals my bag and is gonna take off? I'm doomed. I can't run after him.
And we walked and we just shot the breeze.
Within seconds, really, I realized he was genuinely being nice. He was just a nice guy and he was helping me out.
For 55 minutes, Michael carried Cindy's bag and walked right alongside her through terminals C, D, E, all the way to F.
Right before we got to the gate, he grabs my hand, he looks at me and he goes, "You're my mom." And I'm like, "Okay." And we walk up to the gate and he tells the guys at the gate, he says, "This is my mother and she's got some issues with her knee. And is there any way that she can get on the plane before everybody else? Because she walks very slowly." And the guy was like, "Sure, no problem."
Your mom gave me a hug, gave me a little kiss on the cheek, and said your mom would be proud of me. That's all I needed, man.
Cindy texted Jamie to tell him all about that nice guy Michael from Lafayette. Jamie immediately turned to social media, asking for help finding him. It took just a little over a day.
His fiance messaged me on Twitter. She said, "Hey, I think that the Michael that you're looking for is my Michael." And I said, "Oh, really? Like, why do you think that?"
My Michael.
And then she said, did your mom did she have knee surgery or is she about to have knee surgery? And I said, boom, that's it.
It's sad that our society has eroded to a point where I'm on TV and Jamie's on TV and you're here, which we're flattered. But I mean, I didn't do anything, these guys or Jamie or yourself. Just, I mean, be a human being.
You know, Michael didn't know this, but the lady he helped is a helper herself. You see, Cindy serves the deaf community as a sign language interpreter.
My parents were both deaf, so sign language was my first language, and I have been dealing with the deaf ever since.
Well, it seems to me that I'm now understanding one nice guy, Michael, helped another nice person named Cindy.
Thank you.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess that's me.
I think thank you is...
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, David.
My friends, the language of kindness is universal. And take it from this Cajun, it is the Louisiana way.
I may not have been born here myself, but this is home. Louisiana is home to me, and you know, I love it here, and this is the best place in the world.
Well, we're happy to have
with
you.
the best people in the world. With the best people in the world. There's no
Bingo.
doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt. Yeah.
It seems so simple, and it seemingly is such not a big deal, but it is in that simplicity that there is the beauty. It's that little act of helping a random person get to a place that she needs to go and making it easier for her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Deep when you break it down. Well spoken.
But it does. You're
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, you're absolutely
You
right.
just broke it down to...
Yeah.
If people can understand that, sir, this was worth everything.
Yeah.
David Begnaud says he's got a real passion for meeting new people, so what we did is we surprised him with a plane ticket to San Antonio, Texas, and a challenge to find a story there on the fly. This is what he turned up.
Oh, San Antonio. Okay. You know, I've never been to the Alamo. And with that, I took off with 48 hours to find a story. I was excited to visit the 7th most populated city in the United States.
What's your name?
Known for its rich history, Tex-Mex cuisine, and scenic riverwalk. Welcome to San Antonio, y'all. And lo and behold, our crew had the Alamo as my first stop. It is the most visited location in Texas that welcomes 1.6 million tourists every year.
Where are we going?
Hey, David. I'm Colby Lano.
Nice to meet you,
nice
Colby.
To meet you. Welcome to Texas and welcome to the Alamo.
It's our first stop. It's my first time.
No way.
Never
really?
been. Always wanted to come.
Well, great.
He taught me all about the battle that led to Texas becoming its own nation before it joined the United States in 1845 as the 28th state.
That old adage, if walls could talk, this is a perfect building for that.
Yeah.
We even have David Crockett's rifle right here.
His actual rifle.
He owned this and used this during his lifetime.
I'll be darned.
Listen, any trip to Texas isn't complete without a cowboy hat, right?
There you go. Like a glove. But just remember, it's not the hat, it's the cowboy.
Strutting in style, minus the shoes. It was time to get some lunch, so I popped into Mi Tierra Cafe, which was founded in 1941 by Cruz Cortez, an immigrant from Guadalajara. His great-grandson, William Cortez, joined me for lunch.
So this plate has been on the menu now for probably
30 years.
Wow.
You know, and our guys in the back that prep all the food every day, they have a combined, 150 years experience together.
I mean, that's amazing. So I savored that food and the sounds of the mariachi band. And then we were off to the Riverwalk to see who we might meet next.
I thought I recognized you.
Thank you. What's your name?
Sharon.
Sharon, nice to meet you. People come here from all over the country. And I thought to myself, what if we try something different, something new this time? So the next morning we headed to Pearl Park, where I sat down with a sign that said, I'm looking for a story. Because I wanted to see what would happen if I just waited. Who would I meet?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited.
I knew that was you.
You know it was me.
I did.
What's your name?
Denise.
Hello, Denise.
Hi, David.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Are you from here?
I am not.
Where are you from?
Minnesota.
Are you vacationing?
We are.
How do you like it?
It's nice. It's not our
Have a seat,
first
have a
time.
seat, have a seat, have a seat.
It's not our first time.
Oh, so you've been before?
We have, but our grandchildren haven't.
Oh, so you're with them?
We are.
Oh, I love that. And do y'all family vacation a lot?
We do, yeah. My husband has Alzheimer's, so...
He does?
Yes, so it's nice to travel with the kids and grandkids.
How is he doing?
He's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He's confused,
Yeah,
but probably no more than at home.
yeah. And do you find that keeping up as much of normal life as you can is better for him?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So he's a little more confused, but he's with the grandchildren, and they just...
That's the comfort zone.
It is.
Right,
We
right.
went to a doctor, and we talked about meds, and he said, I cannot prescribe for you a medication that will do any more for him than being with the family.
Being with y'all.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that heartwarming?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
And
heartwarming?
it's true.
Yeah.
It is true, because he
Yeah.
lights up.
On air, on broadcast. It's so nice to
And there it
you like our
was,
story.
a conversation with a total stranger that led to memorable moments for both of us. Then Bethany and her mother-in-law, Lorena, came along.
So is it like a human interest piece you're looking for? I don't know. What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, who are you?
I'm a business owner.
Okay.
I'm in a business with my husband here in San Antonio.
Okay.
So we do a lot of virtual homeschooling for kids, and it's been a big thing. I've had my own classroom. I've been tutoring for 14 years, and being able to tutor and be in the classroom, you see a lot of kids who have learning gaps, but you also see they just keep getting pushed through. And the best way I can illustrate that is, the game Jenga?
Yeah.
So each year that you're in school, it's like that tower that you're building. But the kids who have learning gaps, they miss a block. And as that tower gets taller, it becomes more unstable.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
We live in this now remote world where remote is acceptable. What do you think the lesson has become for all of us in that?
There's more to just work, sleep, repeat. There's more to life than that.
Yeah.
You only have 24 hours in a day. Your family, your spiritual health, that's the most important thing.
You are so right. I'll say this to you. We know we have 24 hours in a day, but we don't know how many days we have left.
It's a gift.
That's
We're
right.
not guaranteed every day.
We love
That's
that.
a talker.
We love that. Nice to meet you.
And then came Caitlin with her precious babies with a story I couldn't believe.
I have a story about how I met my husband.
Okay, sit down. Okay, how'd you meet your husband?
So when we started dating, our moms recognized each other, and we were like, there's no way that the two of you know each other. They found an address book, and my mom and his mom had met in Germany in 1997. Exchanged numbers for us to meet. Playdate never happened.
Okay.
Fast forward, I am 20 years old, and I met him on a missions trip. And then I started dating him. And then our moms saw each other after seeing each other in 1990.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
And you married the guy.
I married him, and he's the greatest man ever. And now he's gone in the army. That's my guy right there.
What's his name? Oliver. You know what? I would call this meant to be. That's what I'd call this. Meant to be. Meant to be.
Meant to be that they met, and we did too. Here in this San Antonio park where I was reminded that in life, everyone, and I mean everyone, has some kind of testimony to tell.
So since David loves to meet new people, we surprise him with a plane ticket. And then his challenge is to find a story within 48 hours. This time, he arrived in Asheville, North Carolina. With the help of some kind people in the town, David found an incredible man with a very, look at David, he really looking for that story with an inspiring tale.
Hey, where are we going? Where are we going?
Tell me.
Asheville, North Carolina. I have never been. Thank you. Let's go. This is going to be fun. It was a quick 56-minute flight from Atlanta to Asheville where the adventure began. Bye. This time in a city nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, best known for its vibrant art scene, diverse food, and 50-plus breweries.
Are you here to do a story?
Yeah.
Where are you going to do it?
I don't know. I have 48 hours to find it.
Oh,
Have you
it's
seen
one of those,
It's
yes.
one of those. To kick off the journey, we started at Asheville's most visited site, Biltmore Estate. There, my team surprised me with someone who knows the place pretty well.
Welcome to Biltmore. I'm Chase Pickering.
Hi, Chase. Pleasure to meet you.
So glad to have you here today.
This is quite a sight.
Biltmore House was built by my great-great-grandfather in 1895. George Vanderbilt was his name. It's the largest privately owned home in America.
I could get accustomed to this.
Let's take a closer look.
Chase took me on a private tour and shared what it was like growing up as a descendant of the family who built New York's famous Grand Central Terminal. I mean, the majesty of this, kind of gives me the chills.
Isn't it spectacular?
Wow. From here, it was time for breakfast. So we headed to a place called Biscuit Head, and I tried the filthy animal. So there's egg, pimento cheese, a biscuit, and bacon. I mean, what else do you say? One more bite, and I'm done. From here, we headed for Asheville's River Arts District, which has a vintage vinyl shop. Oh, I love this. And some individual art studios. This is really striking and beautiful.
Thank you.
We decided to pop into Asheville's Visitor Center nearby. Any ideas on things we should see? Or people we should meet, actually, more important.
People you should meet.
Yeah. They told me to check out the Tasty Diner and go meet the owner, Stephen Goff. Are you Mr. Goff?
Yeah.
I'm David with CBS News.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. We were told to come and check this place out. Poor guy. He looked pretty confused. So I sat down and I told him this. I'm looking for just fascinating people.
Cool.
And stories that make you mad, sad, or glad. Any of the three work.
I'm pretty sure I have all of that.
Over a delicious Philly cheesesteak, he started to tell me about his past. And I knew real quickly we had found our story.
You know, I was born in Northern California, and my family moved to South Carolina. My first year of high school, I dropped out and started hopping freight trains, and hopped all around the country.
How did you like that lifestyle?
It was pretty cool. I mean, you know,
What made it cool?
There's a lot of things, you know, for like a young person that was like just stuck in a super conservative southern city. It was like the most liberating freedom ever.
So life on the run as a teen was more freeing and fun than life at home.
You know, it was the early 90s, so like, you know, if you looked funny, you were gay. So lots of people would harass me for that. I'm not gay, and I also have nothing against anyone with any sexual preference, but them thinking I was gay caused large problems for me in the South in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I grew up gay in the South. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I got it.
So it was an issue, you know, and it was like, I would rather live on the streets than put up with this.
Now you're starting to speak my language, but I also see your eyes start to water.
Oh, yeah, yeah. When I was younger, I was just like, that was awesome and fun. But as an adult, you're like, oh, you were running away from pain. You know?
And that's it. That's it. You were running from pain.
You know, at the same time, like, the life that gave me and what that instilled in my spirit as a human being made me a better person as a whole.
He found his purpose in the first place that really felt like home, the kitchen. Stephen worked his way up the ranks using a skill born out of pain, compassion.
You know what I thought when I walked into this restaurant? A place where anybody feels welcome.
That's exactly what I want you to feel.
That's what I thought.
I want it to feel like our city here, like Asheville. I want it to feel like you're walking into my head and you're getting a little piece of my history and personality just from the walls and the decor.
Stephen had an idea, the wooden nickel program. Here, a customer can spend an extra $5 to buy one of these wooden nickels. When people who are hungry come by asking for free food, Stephen feeds them, and a wooden nickel gets used. As our time in Asheville with Stephen was coming to an end, I started thinking that life itself is just one wild train ride. As long as you can hang on, you might end up being dropped off exactly where you're meant to be.
Isn't it crazy how you go from a boy jumping trains trying to find himself to sitting down on CBS News and telling your story?
It's pretty cool. It is insane, in fact. I never thought I would be anything, so so it's pretty cool to be able to like take care of our community and have somebody just coming through town and recognize that.
Well, the community is what drove us to you. And I think it's because of how well you've taken care of them.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. David, you did it again. Makes me want to go to the Tasty Diner. I love when you walked in and you asked for him, he goes, yeah. And then he had all of that. He had all of that to share.
Gayle, I love meeting random people. This is the best challenge for me. Go anywhere. We're not going to tell you who you're going to run into and find somebody who's got a story. I'm obsessed with this idea.
We are back with a new edition of our series where we send lead national correspondent, that's David Begnaud, on a storytelling adventure, because we know David loves a good adventure. You know what else he loves? He loves to meet new people. So we surprised him yet again with a plane ticket and challenged him to find a story in just 48 hours. This time, lucky David, he landed in beautiful Monterey, California. It's a great place. And as luck would have it, he found someone who has a story we can all learn from.
Hello, sir.
Good to see you.
Official documents.
Okay, here we go.
Right here.
Monterey.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a pretty quick trip from Los Angeles to Monterey, right along California's central coast.
Here we go.
Known for blue waters brimming with wildlife and the world-famous Monterey Bay Aquarium. My team surprised me with a private early morning tour led by program director Natalia Hurley.
Thanks for coming here.
Never been.
Oh, wow, even better. We love first-timers.
Let me tell you, I was mesmerized.
It's almost meditative to look at.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is he floating on his back?
Oh, yeah. These otters here take turns being surrogate moms to orphaned wild pups and then re-released out into the wild.
Hi.
Renee Carbajal, a senior aquarist here,
You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
cares for the octopus.
She might want to get a meal.
Let me tell you, he let me get so close.
Oh, it feels so weird. It's like she's holding my hand.
She is.
I got to feed an octopus breakfast, y'all.
Hey, you're hired. When I come in the mornings, I'll play my salsa music, and she'll recognize, oh, there's Renee.
Where are you from?
I was born in Mexico City.
Oh.
I went back to school in my late 30s. I graduated in marine biology.
You did,
at
wow.
UCLA. I have one of the best jobs in the world.
Well, after that wild start to the day, I made my way down Cannery Row. In the early 20th century, it was where workers, mostly immigrants, canned sardines to be shipped around the world. The literary giant John Steinbeck captured the flavor of that life in his 1945 novel. Today, his statue stands where the tourists flock.
We knew it was you. You knew it was me. You were right. Where are y'all from?
I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona.
That was fun, but look, the clock was ticking. We only had 48 hours, and I wanted to do a little shopping.
We've never been shopping on one of our Surprise City stores. This is the first. I love it.
Pendleton shirts rose to popularity in the 60s, thanks to the Beach Boys. Next, I popped into a bike shop.
Don't look so surprised. I've got an English accent.
These are some nice bikes.
Thank you.
Owner Martin Watson helped me pick out some wheels.
I'm fired up.
Yeah, you should be.
Fired up.
I'm fired up too.
With Watson and his bike-loving pup Bella, we took in these spectacular views.
You can smell the trees, the grass. This is unique.
Yeah,
you see them?
Oh,
yeah.
I left the wheels with him and headed to the Monterey Library, which was the very first in California.
Been a while since I've been to a library.
Brian Edwards, the library and museum director, took me to Colton Hall because California's Constitution was created right here in 1849.
It was the first state constitution debated in English and in Spanish.
What were they debating? What was the debate?
Women's rights, whether it was going to be a slave state or not.
So California was progressive from the get-go.
From the get-go, from the very beginning.
Edwards sees Monterey as the birthplace of California. It felt like time stopped as we quietly explored the vital wetlands with naturalist Marina Mays.
Hear all that chatter?
Yeah.
But as I moved forward, I kept coming back to Rene Carbajal. It was his humility, his story, the way he connected me with that octopus. I thought, David, he's your story.
This is cha-cha-cha.
When I got there to surprise him, he was playing salsa music for the octopus he calls Chica.
Look at this. This is wild.
Like
no pun intended.
Best friend ever.
I can't eat calamari again.
She's just watching me, kind of like, okay, let's hang together.
After spending almost 48 hours looking for people, I want to make you the story.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I see you.
Do you know what I loved? I loved your passion.
Thank you. And that's how I feel every day, really. That connectivity with the animal, it's just, it takes me somewhere else. And there is nothing more beautiful at that moment than that time. Having that time together makes me forget about everything else in the world.
He grew up in Mexico and moved with his family to Los Angeles in the early 2000s. 6 people shared a 1-bedroom apartment. But he says he was happy, hopeful, and determined.
Your first job in LA was doing what?
I will make the hamburgers, I will clean the floors, and learning the language and working hard.
As a hobby, he bought a small reef tank, and so began his passion for sea life. He learned to scuba dive, then took out loans to become the first in his family to go to college.
Honestly, I got a lot of doors that shut down in front of my face. One of my professors said that you just have to be a grain in the sand that is more shiny than the other ones, and that will get you there. And I
a grain in the sand more shiny than the other ones. That's a good piece of advice.
I thought I could do it and never give up, and this is where I am.
Passion-fueled and results-driven, Carbajal became a United States citizen. He met his wife Joanna in Monterey, and together they are raising 2 octopus-loving little girls.
You want to give her another shrimpy?
I wanted to take you in and play with you.
I know.
You know, growing up here in America, when you meet people like you who had to start from scratch, what do you love about being here in America?
The things that I love the most, I guess, is freedom. I grew up in Mexico City in a very poor neighborhood, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. And when I look back, you know, all the struggles I went through, and I just feel so lucky, and this is what I love the most, just enjoy life every day, one day at a time.
And that, my friends, is the lesson for all of us. Find what you love, and if you can find a job doing it, it'll never feel like work.
I love your story. Love your story.
Thank you, David.
This morning, we are sharing an inspiring story focused on sacrifice and purpose that has a full circle ending. 2 strangers formed an unlikely bond after the death of a Louisiana police officer. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, takes us to Baton Rouge to meet a mother whose worst moment led to an encounter with a child that changed both their lives.
This is a story that captivated Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A funeral procession for a fallen officer. And along the route, a 5-year-old girl holding a sign which read, "Thank you, Mr. Policeman."
We all kind of saw her and said, look at her, she was happy. She was like, I've been waiting for this to come, and y'all are finally here. And it just gave me a sense of how much the community appreciated the sacrifice my son did.
Vicki Melancon's son was Baton Rouge police detective Terry Melanson Jr. In 2005, he was shot and killed in the line of duty, 32 years old and engaged to be married.
He had a lot of empathy for other people.
About a year after Terry died, Vicki got a chance to meet that little girl. What would happen next would change their lives.
Sit down. Globe munchkin.
That little girl is now 24. Her name is Madeline Jarrow, and since they met, she and Vicki have bonded.
I graduated high school, she was there. I graduated college, they were there. I got engaged, she was there. I got married, she was there. Every big event, little events, she's always been there.
Have you wondered why?
I don't question it. I think it's just Terry and God knew that we needed each other in our lives, and it's just, we are.
But wait, it gets better. Madeline chose to follow in Terry's footsteps. Meet Deputy Madeline Jarrow of the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, one of the newest Police Academy graduates.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I feel like my purpose is to carry on what he left behind. Sorry.
In his 4 years on the force, Terry's mother says he would often ask people, "What is your purpose?"
He wanted to reach those people that needed help.
My graduation from LSU.
In the years before the police academy, Madeline graduated college. And look what she wrote on her graduation cap. "What's your purpose?" And guess who showed up for her?
Terry died, and that wasn't the end. There was something way bigger. And we have Madeline here that is carrying that forward. And I know that it's a God thing.
I can't thank you or Mr. Terry or Terry Jr. enough for putting you in my life, or God. You're a blessing to me.
You're a blessing to me. I have no doubt that you were chosen for this. You were chosen for this.
Bound by tragedy, they are now purposefully united.
You can do this. You got it. I love you.
I love you.
Oh, and one more thing. When Madeline called Vicki to invite her to the Police Academy graduation recently,
she said, "I'm graduating January 9th. And I said, "Really?" I said, "That's Terry's birthday." And she said, "I knew he'd be there." And I said, "Yep." Now to a story from our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, about a friendship that has captured the hearts of staff and the students at an elementary school in Massachusetts. Now, this story shows that it doesn't always take a lot of words to form a special connection.
9-year-old Elif loves being at school. But for a long time, her dad was worried about whether she'd be okay after he dropped her off. You see, Elif has a severe developmental delay.
Me read again? Me read again?
And doesn't talk much on her own. Then one day, to her dad's relief, and to Elif's joy, she made a very good friend. Not with a student, not with a teacher, but with someone very special. The school's guardian. And now Elif's too. Meet police officer Ryan Foley.
I cried, I'll be honest with you, because I know that someone is watching her. She's safe.
Yeah. What made you cry?
because I see that she's trusting someone, except her father or her mother or her aunts or uncles.
On days when Officer Foley watches over recess, Elif keeps an eye out for him. She heads for the doors, crosses the parking lot without saying a word, and makes a beeline for Foley. He's always standing in the same place, waiting for her to take his hand and take him with her.
So she has a set route that she does. There's certain bricks that she steps on, certain points on the curb that she likes to hit, but mostly it's like zone out time. It's just a peaceful 30-minute walk.
Even though there are no words exchanged between the two of you, do you feel some kind of communication with her?
A connection, yeah. I think she senses that I'm also pretty quiet too, and I think that might play into her being more comfortable, that I'm not pressuring her to do anything. It's just walk. She knows I'm along for the walk, I guess.
Yeah.
She's the boss.
This has been going on for how long now?
About 1.5 years.
Day after day.
There was one day that I didn't go out there, and her teacher, Erin, was like, oh, she wasn't very happy. She was looking for you. She was asking for you, and then she went and sat on the bench and wouldn't do anything.
Though Elif doesn't speak the way most kids do, her body language says so much. If she wants you to go away, she'll let you know. Come with me is pretty clear too. One day in her special ed class at Stanley Elementary in Waltham, Massachusetts, something very unusual happened. Someone really inspired her to speak.
Who is it? Police Officer Body. Good job.
Why do you think she was drawn to you?
I can't say 100%. I'm just glad it happened.
Her dad might have an idea. He says Elif has seen a photo of his father and her grandfather in a police uniform, back when he was a police officer in Turkey. Whatever it may be, it has brought so much joy to Elif's mom and dad.
Hug, Sarah?
Hug.
What do you think about this gentleman?
Great guy. Great guy. Best helper of Elif, best friend of Elif. And now I'm relaxed, 100% relaxed. I knew that she was in the good hands with the teachers and all the assistants, that everything, but when I saw that picture, I know that she's in safe hands.
They are the hands of a father himself. Officer Foley comes from a long line of cops, but he is the first in his family to work at a school.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, buddy.
No, Elif doesn't speak much. But this picture, it says all you need to know about a little girl and her best friend.
I think every connection that I make at this school is special. This one in particular will live in my heart forever.
As I travel around America, I'm always looking for those stories of ordinary people.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Doing really kind things for others. And that brought me to Oceanside, California, and the door of
Gayle Noble.
Yeah.
Hi, Gayle.
Hi.
I'm David.
I'm Gayle.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Rocking that Grateful Dead tie-dye shirt and her signature plush hat, this hippie at heart is driven to give.
Oh my, look at all of these goodies.
Since she retired, she has made a job out of making people feel good.
What you got in here?
The muffins and the Oreos for the post office.
Almost every day, she drives around Oceanside, delivering goodies to people she thinks are working those thankless jobs, like the post office, where she used to work.
Your muffins.
She skirted the line and a little bit of personal space.
Yeah.
No time to chit-chat. She was off to her next spot, at the UPS store.
Thank you, Gayle.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Keeping us fed. She'll tell us, you guys have to have such a hard job. I know what you're going through. I've done it before. And here's some muffins to get you through the day.
And boy, does that make their day, as we saw following her around Trader Joe's.
Thank you so much there. Oh my God, Gayle. Give some love.
Oh, you're so welcome.
every day, this woman. She's an angel. There's a halo under this hat.
When did you start doing this, these random acts of kindness?
Probably I was like 5 or 6. My grandpa would let me go to the store and buy different things, and then he would take me where I wanted to give them. He started, nurturing that.
In you?
Yeah.
To give to others.
He said that's our job in life.
And that lesson she took to heart.
Which cookies do you want?
So much so that her youngest daughter, Nissa, describes her mother's generosity as aggressive kindness.
And there's the cookies.
Most people will perform the niceties, ask you if, oh, maybe would you like? No, you're getting a cookie. You were getting a muffin.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, I know you didn't even want one. You're going to get 12.
12 every week.
Right.
Look, Gayle is unapologetically herself. The type of person who picks up a penny off the floor.
Someone dropped a penny, and I don't want your register to be short.
The person who puts those dividers back in place in the grocery store line. When you see her, you might judge this book by its cover. But let me tell you what's inside. Gayle was a female chief engineer at a Los Angeles radio station in the 1970s. She didn't know another woman with that job. Friends tell us that in the 1980s, Gayle designed the interface chip for one of the earliest home computers, and the chip was named after her. She went on to have more than 50 patents to her name in different technology fields.
So radio led you to being a computer engineer and writing code.
Yeah.
For the U.S. military.
What got me to do that was the Vietnam War. They put me on the stealth fighter and a couple other things.
And those were the codes that told them who was the enemy and who was the friend.
Mm-hmm. What I wanted to do was save lives.
Yet again, you wanting to help people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can I have a hug?
And that has been a hallmark of her life, and at times, a hardship for Nissa.
But I was never very close with my mom.
Because she was so different?
She's a little hard to get close to. I mean, you've seen how she is. She does her drive-by kindness. It's kind of like a delivery service. And then after my dad died, I did some work on myself, it takes some work.
And what did you figure out?
I found out that she is just a vessel for giving and being loving. And that's all she wants to do. And you can't help but be moved by that.
And now, Gayle's giving nature is moving people all over the world.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Nissa, who created and manages Gayle Tales. It's an Instagram account dedicated to Gayle's kindness.
What was your wish for your children to be when they grow up?
What they wanted to be.
It's a place where people shower this 77-year-old widow with nothing but love.
Because of Gayle's kindness, I chose to be better.
I follow Gayle because I like her kindness, but also I believe she's a role model.
You're a perfect example of how everybody should act all the time and just not waste time judging others.
The response has been overwhelming.
Yeah, they love her so much. And I think they love what she represents. It's giving a lot of people freedom to be themselves. And what a beautiful thing to be loved and accepted for who you are.
There is such a beauty in you going from the child who understandably is embarrassed to the daughter dedicated to honoring and saluting her.
Thank you. Yeah, it was hard.
You are the daughter who took on a mission to honor her mom.
I didn't think I would get so emotional.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And now at 37 years old, Nissa feels pride watching her mother be herself.
What I get out of it is the joy of knowing that I've added some spark into each one of them.
I love that, Gayle.
That's the best part.
Isn't that the best feeling?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.